Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. You've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title, and you're probably wondering, like myself, it is the year 2019. Why did I buy a Super 8 camera? Now, let me open this thing up and show you. Now this is, I think, the original bag it would have come in. It's got a leather feel to it. I don't know if it really is leather, but considering this is a Bolex camera made from Switzerland in 1967, I think this probably is a leather exterior. It's got, the bag's got options for holding little things, I guess rolls of film, or batteries, because there are batteries required for this. The eBay seller put these packages around it, so I'll just remove those. Now you probably can't see inside the bag. There's the camera, but it's actually sitting on a little shelf thing. If I have time, I might show you that later. But let me produce the camera. Check that out. Isn't that neat looking? And there's one side of it. There's the other side of it. Let me just move the camera and our bag and box out of the way. Now, if you are of a certain age, you probably don't understand what the significance is of Super 8 film cameras. Before the era of having the ability to film on your phone or have nice compact little digital cameras that you could easily upload stuff to, this was how it was done back in the day. I mean, as I say, this camera is 1967. I believe was reached sort of the height of its popularity in 1970. And back then, you had to actually put film into these things. And when it was done, I actually have a roll of developed Super 8 film here myself, which I never did get converted to DVD format, but you would get back from the developer a roll of film. That's something you could thread into your projector and watch. This is unfortunately a home movie I made years ago where my friend and I tried doing a stop motion thing with my Star Wars figures. It's locked away in time, unfortunately, because I don't really want to go through the expense of trying to convert that to a DVD format or a digital format. But anyway, this is a Bolex 180 Super camera. Let me get into a slightly different position here, and I'll tell you a bit more about this awesome looking machine. So yeah, my Bolex 155 Super. It's a really, really cool camera. I will show you here. So you would, with this little button here, you would pop open, put your batteries in here, and if you have a roll of Super 8 film like this one came with, it would just slide in there and lock into place. And there's a little gate there that spins the film and records down there. I'm not going to actually put this in here because there may actually be stuff on that. I'm not sure. Interestingly, I think this used to belong to a Harold Schultz. There's no letter, there's no vowel in there. So I don't know if that's Schultz and he forgot the U. Schlitz, he forgot the I. Not sure. But Harold, thank you very much. This is a very cool little machine that you used to own. I'm going to like it for the reason that I will get to eventually. What do some of these things do? Okay, so the biggest, you've got the trigger here that you use for actually doing your filming. Obviously you're thinking, well, how can you film? That thing's got a cover on the front. That's another nice feature. It's got this little hood you can just pop open, and there's the actual lens inside. Pretty cool. Stops sunlight from getting lens flare on there for anybody who doesn't want to be J.J. Abrams. What else have you got on here? You've got a focal length adjustment here and another focus here. And there's no way to really explain what this does, but essentially this zooms in and out. If I could show you what's inside there, you would see the image zooming in and out. I tried, but it's very dim inside there, and I just don't think it's going to come through on my camera. But take my word for it, that's a zoom in and out. If you're zoomed in too close to an item and it's out of focus, you could just turn this to bring it into focus. That's pretty cool. There's also another focus along the top here. So I guess for all different kinds of situations, I don't know if you're seeing how the lens or the eyepiece is moving in and out there. That'll sort of give you a bit of a further level of focus. This thing, according to most of the manuals I've found, is missing. There should be some kind of a hooded piece for your eye there. That's actually not there. A couple of knobs here. This sort of closes and opens a gate so that this is not viewable. And I don't quite know what this does. A little variation here. There's a 32 down here. I think that means you could do slow motion. There's also the ability, oh, hang on this side, you've got a counter which would actually slowly decrease in this direction as the film was running low. So that it's not a clock, which is what I thought it was originally. That's actually a way to keep track of how much film is left. This thing here is actually a mount for what would have been a humongous light. Here's an image of it here. So yeah, you would have been able to actually attach a giant incandescent light bulb to this thing and light your subject, which I'm sure would have been incredibly glaring and very hard on whoever was being filmed. You also have down here a button you hold to keep the exposure at one setting. The manual describes if you're like panning through a shot that's got a lot of light, say you're starting in a dark area, you're going across a bright area, and then you're going to another dark area, rather than the automatic exposure inside here from kind of blooming and going up and down and stuff, you would hold that button to just lock it at one level of exposure. And the other neat feature is the trigger, you could flip it up, and there's a little hole there that you could have actually attached another little device into with an extender arm, and that would allow you to film yourself, the 1970s version of a selfie. So that's pretty cool. Does it work? Yes, it does. I will pop open here. These are relatively fresh batteries. If I pull the trigger, you're going to see and hear the motor for the little wheel that would turn the film. Pretty cool. I don't think I'm actually going to record anything on film with this. Again, it did come with this cartridge. I think there's actually a little bit of a keeping the dream alive hobbyist group for Super 8 film that I could possibly get a usable piece that isn't, you know, maybe new old stock or something, and maybe film something with this someday. Oh, and that's just a little thing you could make it a very heavy lanyard around your neck. So this is my Bolex 155 Super 8 camera. Bolex, I think they partnered with another company, Paylard, I think they are pronounced. Both of them did these and a few others back in the early 70s. Weren't terribly successful from what I gather. They didn't really seem to see too many of these kind of cameras back in the day. However, having said that, I did actually see this in the movie X-Men Days of Future Past a few years ago. There's a sequence or two where there's people out there with Super 8 cameras of varying vintages, because it is set in the 70s. And lo and behold, in this bit here, there's actually somebody using a Bollard 150 or a 155. And I just thought, hey, that's my camera. That's so cool. So I thought I'd show off that little bit there as well. That's pretty neat, huh? Yeah, so I guess it just leaves me to answer the biggest question, the one that this whole video is about. Why the heck did I get a Super 8 camera? Last year, May the 4th, I posted a video about a vacation I took with friends and families many years ago, where we went to Death Valley in California. The reason we did that, and the reason I posted it on Star Wars Days, because that's actually, some parts of the first Star Wars film were done in Death Valley. You had the pickup shots around where R2-D2 was captured by the Jawas. That was all done in Death Valley. And it kind of planted the seed in my head of, wouldn't it be kind of cool to check out places where Star Wars was filmed in the real world? One of which is actually behind me right now, Guatemala. This is a collection of temples in an area called Tikal. And who knows, maybe someday I might venture up Tikal and go and check out those ruins, and I will take the Bolex 150 with me. Why? Because I'll also be taking my helmet and looking around the area for maybe any Corellian freighters that are trying to land. There you go. That's why I got a Super 8 camera. And maybe someday this might become a reality, we'll see. But in the meantime, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.